Well, hello and happy new year. As far as I'm concerned, 21 is going to be great. Got a new plant, new label maker. What more could you possibly want? It's been a couple days since I shot that. Some things happened. This is not what 2021 is going to be like. This is still the end of 2020 working its way out of the system, right? Just shaking it out. What more could you possibly want? I really wanted to share the three aspects of mindset that I've been working on over the holidays, things that I'm setting forth for 2021 this year, the way that I'm going to be approaching things, the way that I'm approaching things now, realistically, and some of the things that have helped me get through the wildness of the first week of 2021. Let's kick it back to the thing I already recorded and let's make the best of it. Here we go. There is indeed a broad spectrum of how this pandemic and 2020 as a whole has affected all of us. Wherever you personally fall on that spectrum, I deeply hope that 2021 is going to be a better year for you and for all of us. I've come to find that it is the most difficult or uncomfortable things that cause the most growth in our lives, especially if we face those discomforts and look at them head on and sort of accept them and sit with them. Those are the kinds of things that allow us to grow, but those are also very taxing things to do. It's why it's a lot easier to be distracted, allow our attention to just be going every which way so that we don't really have to address those discomforts. Within the realm of discomfort and growth, one of the most substantial things for me, among others, in 2020 was the fact that I finally went public with the fact that I have ADHD, something that I was diagnosed with when I was 11 years old, also diagnosed with anxiety at the time, and I learned to recognize a lot of the things that I was going through at the time that really set me up to create a lot of that anxiety. And that's something that I've been working on understanding and dealing with. And just overall, 2020 has brought a level of awareness of myself, of my actions, of the things that I'm feeling and doing that I've never, ever had before. I mean, it really forced me to turn inward and understand the connected feeling between what was going on in my mind and then what I was doing, what actions I was taking. And as we know, for Break the Twitch, that is essential. It's still hilarious to me that Break the Twitch, after all this time going through minimalism, habits, creativity, and exploring these themes, I realized it's really about attention. Because the fact is, I've been masking the fact that I have ADHD since I was 11 years old. Because at the time when I was diagnosed, I thought something was wrong with me. I thought it meant that I was broken, my brain was bad, and I wasn't going to be able to operate within normal societal expectations with my friends and what everyone else was doing in school. And so effectively, I just left that part out. It's one of the biggest ways I've lied, actually, to people anywhere. In fact, it's probably the only way that I've lied to you. I left it out, just omitted that fact, which now I realize is a very important fact to share. So, with that being said about 2020, let's look forward to 2021. My wife Amy and I have taken the last week or two off of 2020, just reflecting and thinking and doing a little bit of work here and there, but mostly allowing ourselves just to process and get through a lot of what happened, a lot of what we learned, and then really focus on where we want to go from here. So, realistically, I just have one thing that I really want to focus on for 2021. It's just one habit that I'm going to do every single day. And it's the only thing I'm going to do. And that is do bicep curls so that I can see if I can create bigger biceps than Matt Diavella. It's the only important, I'm kidding. In a lot of ways, I'm really simplifying down the focus, the ideas, and the things that I want to accomplish and how I'm going to go about accomplishing them for this coming year. I don't really believe in New Year's resolutions because I really feel like attaching ourselves to a date or a new year kind of puts a lot of added pressure on not screwing it up. And what we know is that things get screwed up. And one of the best ways to stay consistent with this stuff is to allow ourselves to screw up and keep it light and get right back to it. So that's the mindset and the approach. I would really like to do individual videos and blog posts on breakthetwitch.com about each of these separate topics. But for now, I'm just going to kind of quickly list through the mindset. So perhaps you can consider those things as well. The first thing I actually got listening to Naval, the podcast that he creates. And that is anxiety is one thing trying to be in two places at the same time. And I thought that was such an eloquent way to think about how our attention is split and how that can make us very, very anxious. That's basically what causes a lot of the discomfort and a lot of the pain we feel, where we feel like we have so much to do and we have so much that we can't just do one thing at a time. Thus, our brain wants to be over here, our body wants to be over here, and it causes anxiety. So mindset-wise, obviously the counter approach to that would be one thing at a time. No matter what it is, one thing at a time. The second mindset thing comes from a guy named Kyle Cease, who I've been following on and off for a very long time now. And he shares this idea around acceptance that I believe is very, very important. It struck me in a substantial way. The idea is the way to get where we want to be is to fully accept and be okay with where we are now. Deeply, that kind of thinking has reflections of self-compassion and like accepting where we are now and being in a place of abundance. When we feel like we're not okay, we don't have enough, we need to be somewhere else, there's this element of lack. There's this element of like, I am not enough as I am. And so we're operating from that place. And so when we're operating from a place of lack, it creates fear, and then it's harder to get the thing that we actually are going for. So the second operating principle essentially is to wildly butter on the self-compassion in moments of difficulty. And I know it's easy to say, look, self-compassion is for other people. That's not for me. That's for high performers who run themselves into the ground and get burned out. Sure, they need self-compassion too, but everyone needs self-compassion. If you haven't done anything today, your body, your attention, those things are speaking to you. And so the element of self-compassion is like listening to that. And that's what I've been learning to do basically throughout 2020. When I'm just too tired to do anything, just sit, just don't. And trust myself. That's like been the hardest thing, because I feel like if I let myself off the hook, I won't do anything. But the truth is, by letting myself off the hook, by having some self-compassion in that moment, trusting myself, I'm like much more quickly ready to go again. And so that's been a whole process of its own. So that's theme number 2, learning to accept where you are. You don't have to like love it, or you don't have to feel like that's where you want to be forever, but it's more about, I'm safe, I'm okay, things are okay here, and we can grow and build from there. Mindset thing number 3 is something that just came while I was doing morning pages yesterday morning. I was just doing some free writing, and this thought came up, and I thought that it was worth sharing. We are building and planning for a world we do not yet know. If 2020 taught us anything, it is that we are making plans, we are building, we are creating for a world that we do not yet know. A lot of people have strong opinions about Elon Musk, the SpaceX, Tesla billionaire who became the second richest person this year on Earth. But there's something about Elon Musk that's very interesting, is that like 10 years ago when he said, hey guys, we're gonna go to Mars. I'm gonna put humans on Mars. Everyone was like, you're crazy, because the technology for that does not exist. right? The world that existed at that time did not have the capability to do that. But you have to give him some credit because in his mind, he was starting on a goal that was not yet possible. He was starting to build for something where the world could not yet create it or support it. So, this third mindset thing I see can be applied in a few different ways. One is that it is understanding and letting go of the fact that you can create goals beyond the things that your brain is telling you aren't possible. Because simply the goal isn't for today. The goal is for a year from now, or how you want to accomplish that. I do believe that the best way to get to that goal, if it's very big, is to have very, very small, consistent actions that create that goal over time. But at the same time, when it comes to the big goal or the thing that you're dreaming of, allow yourself to dream in a way that does not reflect the limitations that are currently in your brain. That's one. The other way is through simply adopting flexibility in your planning. Now, even the best laid plans are destroyed by a pandemic. Think about entire industries that were canceled. You have a music tour that's gone. You're not going to be able to do that. And so, realistically, we have an ability to focus on what we can do today, right now, in the current situation, with what we have, to make a small impact on the broad things that we'd like to accomplish. And it means that we can plan all we want, but sometimes the world is going to dictate a different path. And we can adapt to that path in the moment as long as we are not so attached to our plans that it causes us to just kind of have an anxious breakdown because what we planned is not possible anymore. So now that this video is about twice as long as it was supposed to be, and I still haven't talked about the habits yet, I will do the 3 habits that I'm focusing on for this year and why I'm doing them and the hypothesis of what I believe, what outcomes I believe that those 3 habits will create. I'll do that in the next video. So if you'd like to see that and more of what I'm doing here at Break the Twitch around minimalism, habits, attention, just working on owning and loving your attention to just bam, do all these things that are so important in this world, every moment that we can, even if it's rest, that's super important too. Just subscribe here at Break the Twitch, or you can go to breakthetwitch.com. There's a wonderful newsletter that I send out. There's all kinds of stuff for you there. So check it out. Thank you so much for your attention. Welcome to Break the Twitch. Welcome to 2021, and I'll see you soon.